Chapter 4 is called loneliness. Now, before we get started, I wanted to go over one of the vocabulary words that our author uses. The author uses the word dreary to describe Wilbur's day. So if you don't know what something means in my classroom, I have my friends do this. This means confused. Sometimes my friends might do this. This also means puzzled. Dreary means you have nothing to look forward to provide cheer or comfort or interest. So the author describes Wilbur as having a dreary day. He has nothing to look forward to. So maybe in this instance, we could all make a text to self-connection and say that we feel a little bit dreary right now with having to be indoors most of the day, right? We feel a little bit dreary, but you shouldn't, because we still get to have our reading lessons together, right? So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go back to the chapter and we're gonna look at Wilbur's, the reasons why his day is dreary, and we're gonna decide if they're big worries or small worries. So if you wanna do this with me, I'll give you a second. You can go ahead and create a Tchart, paper, whiteboard, and on one side I wrote big and on the other side I wrote small. So we can write down whether this was a big worry or a small worry. And maybe we can even think about these and how they apply to our life. So as best as I can, I'm gonna go in sequential order. That means the order that we read the chapter in. And I'm gonna go through his worries. So the first thing that we notice in the chapter is that it is raining, okay? So we wanna think to ourselves, is this a big worry or a small worry for him? Is this making, of course he's dreary, but is this something that we should be really concerned about or not too much? Now, if you put it on the wrong side of our Tchart, you can go in and fix your Tchart at home. I'm gonna put rain on the small side. Rain should not be a big worry to us. It's just part of nature. It's probably what's going to happen, you know, during different seasons, and rain's a small worry for us. Right? The second thing that happens is because of the rain. So this is going back to kind of our cause and effect relationships. Now, I don't know whether to put this next one under big or small, so I'm gonna need your help. It's his plans get ruined. So maybe you've had a time where you had this drawn out plan of what you were gonna do, and then it starts to rain, and then you have to abandon your plans. You have to come up with something else. Now at first, we might feel, that's a big worry, you know, my day's ruined. But I do wanna put plans ruined on the small side. Because just like in my classroom, we have a poem that's in there, and it says, when things don't go as I plan, I can adjust. So I'm gonna say plans ruined. For Wilbur, it probably feels like a big worry, but plans being ruined is not that big of a deal. Okay, for the next one, we have the goose doesn't want to play with Wilbur. So I want you to think to yourself, if the goose doesn't want to play with Wilbur, or maybe you have a brother or sister at home and they don't want to play with you right now, do you think that's a big worry or a small worry? And so you guys can go ahead and decide which side of the Tchart it should go on. Now, if you're ready, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the small side. The goose doesn't want to play, but that's not a big worry. Sometimes people need breaks from each other. Goose doesn't play. All right, let's take a look at the next thing that happens. We have the lamb. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this, the lamb is outright rude to Wilbur. Now, the lamb is so rude that I would consider this a big worry, because the lamb says something. I'm gonna go back to the text, and this is so unkind, and you would not want to treat anyone like this. So I'm reading from the text here. Certainly not, said the lamb. In the first place, I cannot get into your pen, as I am not old enough to jump over the fence. In the second place, I am not interested in pigs. Pigs mean less than nothing to me. Now, when somebody treats another person like that, the best choice that my friends in the classroom would make would be, one, to ignore it, and then to walk away. And I think Wilbur does an okay job of that, but it does hurt his feelings. And you know what? When someone says something like that, that is kind of a big deal. So I'm gonna write rude lamb. Right, the next thing that happens in our chapter is that Templeton eats his breakfast. Now, although I know breakfast is a super important meal, you know, Wilbur didn't eat it right away, which, I mean, because he was feeling so dreary. So I might put Templeton eats breakfast on this side. It's not too big of a deal. All right, and then the last thing I want to go over is this feeling of loneliness that Wilbur has, and that's the name of our chapter 2. So I would say that feeling lonely or being friendless, because remember, his plans got ruined, his friend Fern could not come visit, Right now he's feeling friendless, and friendless is a big worry. Now on Dojo, I listed a constructed response, and I'll be posting the answer to that tomorrow. So on Dojo, make sure you use also the racist strategy to answer the question. That means we want to restate the question, we want to answer all parts, cite our evidence, and at the very end we can summarize it. So look back here to find the answer for today's constructed response, and enjoy the book.